In this session, we're going to develop our spreadsheet and increase our knowledge on how to apply them in new situations. These next set of tasks are looking at developing a budget. Budgets are useful to do on spreadsheets because we can actually mathematically forecast forward. So what do we mean by that? Well, let's come down here and say, well, if I buy a nice coffee, so if I buy a nice coffee and it costs me $3.20. Now to make that look like $3.20, I need to go in and format the cell, and I can come into where currency is. I can check the correct symbol, so English, and at the moment I've got two decimal places, so this will ensure that I've got the 20, and in the sample window here you notice it's got 3.20, which is exact data from the cell. So now I've got $3.20. Now, this is my cost. If I have per day, so I can actually go equal to $3.20. If I have one for every day for a week, so I'll put per week, that'll be equal to the cost per day times 5. So in a week at $3.20, you could actually spend $16 on iced coffee. If we look at this per term, and we know that there's 10 weeks in a term, we could actually then say the cost times 5, which will give us the week, and I'll just encapsulate those in brackets to make them consistent, and if I times that then by 10 for 10 weeks, that then gives us 1600. Now once again I can format the cell in there and go to currency, Australian two places. So in a term you could spend $160 on iced coffee. Now for a year we could actually do the same sort of formula and then encapsulate that and times that by 4 terms, or because we know that the terms are correct, we could actually go equal to the previous cell times 4. So over a year you could actually spend $640 on an iced coffee at $3.20 each, and that's having one a day. If you had 2 a day, then that would change these numbers again. So if you wanted to, we can change these formulas around to look at the, we can actually add another column in where we can insert a column here, and in here we can have per day or quantity, and in the quantity now we can actually say if we have 1 per day. Now this changes our formula, so I'm just going to delete these ones out. If we change our formulas, we notice now we've got a quantity and it's set to dollars at the moment, so we need to go back in and format the cell, change it back to general number and click OK. So per day will be equal to this cell here in B3 times the quantity which is in C3, and press enter. So if I decide to have 2 iced coffees a day, it's $6.40. To work out the cost per week, we can actually equal to D3 times 5. If we want to work out per term, we could actually say, well, there's 10 weeks in a term, so we take the weeks times that by 10, and because there's 4 terms in a year, we can actually say is equal to that times 4. So it gives you an idea. So if you have 2 iced coffees a day, it doubles. Now the whole idea of this spreadsheet is that these formulas are all dependent on this cell here. So as iced coffees went down to $3 each, then the spreadsheet recalculates and works out that there's $6 a day, and it's back down. So there's a big difference, and if I go back to 1 iced coffee a day, there's a big change in the costings. So if you're able to find it somewhere cheaper, and you might be able to get it for say $2.95, you can actually have a look at the impact of that. So the idea of spreadsheets is it helps you budget things out, and you can actually look at those budgets. Now, when we look at income, there's different ways you can calculate income. A lot of people say that they earn $60,000 a year for a figure. Now, the $60,000 a year needs to be broken down in several different ways, and I'll just turn that format to cell into currency without any decimal points as well. Because if I wanted to show this, say, as a weekly income, a fortnightly, if we're going to look at a monthly, we can actually look at then quarterly, which is every 3 months. We can look at half yearly. So there's all different ways we can break an income of 60,000 down. So the first way, if we look at a week, we can actually go equal to this number divided by 52, because there's 52 weeks in a year. The fortnight, well, there's actually 26 fortnights in a year, so it's equal to this number divided by 26. A month, there's 12 months in a year. Quarterly, because there's 4 quarters in a year, we can actually say 60 divided by 4. And half yearly, it means half a year, we can actually say this number here divided by 2. So here we can actually see, well, if I have an income of $60,000, each week I should get $1,153.85. In a fortnight I should get $2,307. In a month I should get $5,000 a month. In a quarter, which is for 3 months, I should get $15,000, and if I got paid half yearly, it'll be $30,000. So you can see that there's different mathematical principles behind it. So this one here, I'm just going to put a single quote in because we can actually divide by 52. This one here is months, and we'll divide that one by 26. Quarterly, we actually divide that by 4, monthly is 12, sorry. When we get into quarterly, we then divide by 4, and half yearly we divide by 2. The single quote allows us to put numbers in and things like that and treat it as text rather than as a numerical number. So you can see the different divisions that are required, but they're all dependent on this primary cell. So if I say I get 55,000 a year, then it shows you how much you're earning. This is a really good thing to look at, especially if you're thinking about getting a job and working out how much money you would be earning a week or a year or a month, and it helps with our budgeting as well. Because if you look at these two spreadsheets now together, we could actually combine some of the information. You could actually work out how much money you've got left over if this was one of my expenses. This is my income, and if you take your expenses away from your income, it shows you how much what is known as net profit or debt. So net is pretty well what's in hand. So out of this tutorial, we've actually looked at how we can use a spreadsheet to sort of forecast, also how to break income down over periods of time. You need to be very careful of what you divide in times by, because if you make mistakes with these, it can throw out all your calculations.